Welcome back into the Rounding Third podcast. I'm Nick. We have Harrison and Sean is back with us. How are we doing tonight, fellas?
What's up, boys?
Awesome. How we doing, Nick?
I'm hanging in there. Got the man cold going on, but I'm battling through. So
I'm impressed. If
Okay.
you got the man cold, I'm just impressed you're upright because most time the man cold, it is like couch for a week, man.
it's pretty bad, and I'm trying to dodge my wife because I pawned it off on her. So, anyways,
Flu game.
Nice.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Before we get going, make sure you follow and like us on Facebook. You can also follow us on Instagram, subscribe on YouTube, or listen on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. All right. Leading off tonight, Framber Valdez misses a no-hitter. This would have been our third no-hitter in 3 weeks. But Corey Seager breaks it up with 2 outs in the 9th inning. This is the second time in Corey Seager's career that he has ruined a no-hitter in the bottom of the 9th with 2 outs. Which, I mean, it's crazy that he's been in that situation to actually do it. But the other cool tidbit of this piece was Bruce Bochy was also a part of the second one when he was managing San Francisco because he broke up Matt Moore's with 2 outs in the 9th inning. So Corey Seager has ruined 2 no-hitters with 2 outs in the 9th inning, and Bruce Bochy has seen both of them. Just one of those baseball anomalies. Yeah, it's one of those baseball anomalies that are just like, it's crazy. It's cool.
It is. Baseball's a funny game like that where all those games are played, all those players change places. You never know when you might run across the same setup as you've seen before.
But, I mean, Framber Valdez, I mean, when that guy's on, he just everybody just pounds it into the ground. No one can touch him. He's tough.
It's hard to square the ball up against him.
Yeah.
And not like guys pound the ball into the dirt, but he just pounds the strike zone. So it's like there's just like no such thing as a comfortable at bat. It's like you got to get up there and swing. You know that if you take a pitch, you're going to be behind. It's just like it's got to be just like gruesome game to just like prepare for. Like that's got to be uncomfortable leading up to the game, uncomfortable through the game. He's so good.
Let me ask you guys a question. What's more impressive to you? A no-hitter where a guy goes out there and just throws a bunch of Ks, or a game when a guy goes out there and just rolls a ton of ground balls and guys just can't hit him? Like, what's more impressive to see?
I don't know. I mean, I think with Valdez, and I don't know, I don't want to put words in your mouth. I don't know if this is what you're getting at, but I think the Valdez thing to me is more impressive just because like this is what he is. Like this isn't like I don't want like anomaly, I guess, but like this isn't like a once every now and again he comes out and just like this is who he is. He's just a guy that throws a lot of strikes, gets a lot of either weak contact or guys that just can't square it up. And it's just ground ball after ground ball after ground ball. And it's just what he does. I mean, what was it last year? He had how many consecutive quality starts?
Oh,
like
20,
27 or
27,
something. Like
29 is an odd number.
Yeah.
Just crazy. I mean, talk about consistency. That's consistent domination. And I know he's not going out there with the no-hitters and all that, but I mean, it's hard to get no-hitters when you do, you give up contact, whether it be, weak contact is still contact. Like,
yep.
Balls are still going to find holes every now and again. But, man, like he just did 20 whatever consecutive quality starts is crazy.
Yeah. What about you, Nick? What do you think?
I don't know. They're both equally impressive to me, right? I mean, you have a guy that goes out and mows down 18 guys, by swing and miss stuff. These guys are hacking at everything, trying to force a hit in there somewhere, and they just can't touch him. A dominating effort like that is pretty fun to see. But also watching like a lineup get frustrated because they can't put solid contact on a ball is equally impressive to see. And just as dominant too, just a guy that misses barrels, they get it off the end, they get it off the fists. Then he throws that yacker that he's got that just keeps him off balance. And I don't know. They're both very impressive to see. I mean, a no-hitter's a no-hitter. I think no matter what, it's impressive, but I don't know. I like seeing both. I like seeing a guy go out there and mow 20 hitters down, but I also like a Greg Maddux guy that goes out and throws 75 pitches and it's out of the game,
So I guess to put a bow on my answer, I would say every now and again, it's impressive to watch a guy just mow like 16, 17, 18 guys down. But like, I don't want to see that like 2 or 3 times a week. That's just like it almost, not that it dilutes it, but it's like, you want to see offensive players be offensive players. And, if it's not your night and it's the night of the pitcher and he goes out and like, at 16, 17, 18 Ks, tip your cap. That's fun to watch. But like, I'm kind of with Nick, like, to me, the consistency of a pitcher being able to go out and just consistently miss barrels, consistently keep guys off balance, consistently keep guys uncomfortable in the box. And that's just what you do every 5 days. Like, to me, like, that speaks to not just like dominance with stuff, but like, I know how to pitch.
Yep.
I know how to set guys up. I know how to keep guys off balance night in and night, well, not night in, night out, but every 5 nights, whatever. I find that, I don't know if it's more impressive, but I find that more entertaining to watch. Like, I'm more willing to tune in to Framber Valdez because I pretty much know what I'm going to see when I tune in, rather than like, oh, well, I might get 18 Ks from Garrett Cole. Do you know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah. No, it's domination of a different type. But I've always appreciated a guy like Valdez. He's so consistently good because he pounds the strike zone, makes you hit the pitch he wants you to hit, and gets you out. And like he's so confident in his approach and his stuff. He's not afraid to just pepper the strike zone and make you put it in play. And that to me is, to your point, John, like that shows a guy who's like a next level of pitcher. Like he knows how to set you up. He knows how to get you in the spot he wants. He knows how to get you to hit the pitch he wants and put it where he wants you to put it. And like, that's just like complete and utter control, which I think is more frustrating to a team and more demoralizing to a team than just getting blown away with stuff you can't hit. Like, you can hit him, but you just can't hit him.
And you can't, it's hard. It's really hard to string multiple hits together off of a guy like that. But it's also hard because, he's not really going to walk you. So he's not really just going to gift you, 2 base runners. And even on the off chance that he does, it's really hard to square a ball up and hit a 3-run homer. So it's like, I find so enjoyable to watch because even if he does give up a broken bat or a bloop, or, even if a guy does every now and again square one up and put one in the gap for a double, it's like, you're so confident that he's going to find a way to pitch around that. That to me is so enjoyable. Like, you almost never have to worry. Like, if I were an Astros fan and I'm watching him on the mound, I almost would never have to worry like, oh, are the wheels going to come off? Yep. Like, is he going to unravel here? He almost seemingly never unravels.
No, it never gets away
I'm sure
from
you
him.
could find instances in which he has, but it almost never happens. And it's like, dude, how much confidence would you have in a pitcher like that? Where you just like, all right, fine. He gave up 2 hits. So what? At worst, he's going to give up a run and find his way out of this inning.
Yeah, he walks the guy in his next pitch. He throws a sinker on the outside corner, rolls it over for Pena for a 6-4-3 double play. And that's it.
Yeah.
It's frustrating because you just can't get anything going against him. The inning never gets away from him. It's just, he's in such complete control that it's got to be frustrating to be in the other dugout.
Yeah. But I just thought that was pretty cool that Corey Seager broke up another one in the 9th with 2 outs. It's crazy. So he's done that twice in his career.
Ruining no-hitters like it's his job.
Yeah. But
not only that, like, ruined the no-hitter, took away the shutout, and took him out of the game because they had to go get the closer because now it was a 2-run game.
Yeah. You're right.
Like, ruined the whole night. Everything about it.
Crazy. All right. We'll move on to MLB. We're going to have MLB at NASCAR next year. It was funny because when the first renderings of the drawings came out, it looked like the old polo grounds. Like, this is the only way they're going to be able to fit it. And it's, it's like 50 feet down the lines and like just like 550 to center. But I've seen the realistic drawings of it, and it looks like they're going to kitty corner it a little bit and, obviously roll in the sod and all of that stuff and get it MLB ready. But I think that'll be a pretty cool event. It will be interesting to see how many tickets they'll actually sell for it and how spectators will view the game.
Well,
because they're obviously going to sell.
Theory. Here's my theory. This is Major League Baseball testing expansion in Tennessee. Saying, hey, we're going to play a game down there. See who comes out. You guys think you've got a market to support an expansion team? Prove it. Prove that you've got the market. I view this as MLB dipping their toes into, do we put a team in Nashville and go to Tennessee? Let's test one out and see what we get for a draw. Other than it being kind of a cool exhibition, like what else would drive you to go, pardon the pun of driving, but what else would drive you to go to a speedway in Tennessee unless you just want to test the market?
Don't be a coward, Harrison. Intend your pun. intend your punt.
Yeah.
Don't be a coward. If you intended the punt,
I really
intend
didn't
the
mean
punt.
that one, I swear, but it worked.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm interested to see kind of what the turnout, not just turnout fans that go to the game, but like what's the whole atmosphere surrounding it? Like what's the talk leading up to it? Are people excited about it? Are people intrigued? Are people going to go? Are they going to tune in? Like just kind of generally, like what's kind of the reception?
Yep.
Because I know we've talked about it a number of times, but like when you kind of zoom out and you look at like the map, like there's that big portion of the country that just like isn't involved in Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
You know, so an area like that, if it's received well, could kind of go a long way. So I'm with you. I think that's an interesting take.
Yeah. I mean, just another specialized event to get MLB out there. I think it will be great. But it was just, I just thought, like I said, the drawings were hilarious when it first came out. But
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
so
And I
funny.
put the link in the chat if people are curious about reading more about the story. But Braves Reds in Tennessee, I mean, if nothing else, it'll be a good game. I mean,
Yeah.
those will be two teams that in theory next year are still going to be good. Unless something crazy happens, it'll be fun to watch.
And you kind of like split the distance between the
Yeah.
two franchises to hopefully pull
Right.
fans from both sides. So, and out of the Carolinas there. So,
well, that's what it's going to be, right? I mean, it's largely going to be like the fans at the game are largely going to be Braves and Reds fans,
right.
you know. But it's, again, like I was saying, to me, it's the idea of like it's not just the number of tickets that you sell, but like in the area surrounding it leading up, like what's the vibe?
Right.
Like, are people excited? Are people looking forward to it? Are people like intrigued? Or are people just like, we literally couldn't give a shit less?
Well, and what's cool is that they can fit more than 100,000 fans in to that alignment, which if you can put 100,000 butts in the seats for a baseball game in Tennessee, even if you draw fans from all the different markets to watch their, quote unquote home team, that's a hell of a showing.
Yeah. Oh, sure.
Oh, and Ben makes the point of those are two markets that would suffer if Nashville gets a team. And you're right. You would pull some fans from those teams because you're parking a franchise kind of right in the middle.
Yeah, that's a great point.
And it's probably a fear they have, but it's a good chance to test the market and see if it could accept baseball.
Yeah. All right. Let's switch over to the White Sox here real quick.
Why?
Do we have to?
Well, I mean, I guess we don't have to, but so, we all know White Sox went on a 21-game losing streak. They finally win a game. And
well,
then
the A's got cocky and played 22 during warmups. Like the A's really brought that on themselves.
Yeah. But anyways, the White Sox win gets Pedro Grifol fired. And Grady Sizemore replaces him as interim. Now, I don't really know where the White Sox want to go at this point. Like, are they just going to get rid of the manager, get rid of the front office, get rid of the franchise, and just start over, like from scratch? I mean, this is horrendous.
Well, and am I correct that the GM that's in place right now, this is only is this his first or second season? Like, isn't he new? Like, weren't they starting new?
They could have,
and they're already restarting. Like,
to me, it all goes back to Reinsdorf, the owner.
Right.
It's like you can get rid of the front office, you can bring in every potential manager you can think of, but like if you don't have an owner that like legitimately cares about winning and is like committed to winning consistently, like in the long term, none of that's going to matter.
Right.
Like I think it's pretty obvious. I mean, look at what he's doing. The same thing with the Bulls in the NBA. Like, I don't really think this guy really cares. I mean, it's all about like, how can I maximize the profit with spending as little as I possibly can? I mean, and if that's like your number one objective, then like, whatever, man, you do you, but your team is never going to be consistently competitive. You might run into a year and now and again where you overachieve, but then like, that's the worst thing that could possibly happen, because now he's looking at that going, look at my team that overachieved. What if we just do that every year? I spend less and less money.
Yep.
Well, so it's like, as long as he's, I mean, I'm not a White Sox fan, but I can imagine as long as he's there, I'm like, no expectations.
Yeah, and we've talked about this for a little while too. Like, that organization from top to bottom is a train wreck. That the minor league system's a mess. The facilities are a mess. They get terrible ratings from the players in terms of the quality of facilities and what they've got to work with. The ballpark is boring. They got all kinds of injuries. They've got a staff that doesn't seem like they know what they're doing. They can't pick a manager. Like, that organization is a dumpster fire from top to bottom and has been for a long time. And poor Pedro Grifol comes in to his first managerial job. They hand him a turd and expect him to shine it up. Nobody was going to win with that team. I mean, that roster is a mess. The minor league system is empty, and there's nothing coming to help them. And to Sean's point, Reinsdorf has done that with the Bulls, and the White Sox have been on this path for years now, like just dumping salaries. And I think Reinsdorf is making the money he can because why not? He invested before, and maybe one day he'll do it again. But I was going back and forth on Facebook the other day with a White Sox fan, and that was basically their feelings that Reinsdorf is going to take some money out, hopefully sell the team here soon, and they'll get a fresh start because there's no hope.
I just don't get why they decided to fire him. I mean, it's already such a dumpster fire. Like, what are you trying to spark here? Like, there's nothing to spark. Like, you don't have a lighter, you don't have gasoline, you have nothing. You have nothing. Like, there's no purpose of firing him now. Just finish out the season, finish out the last 2 months, and then overhaul it. Like, does Grady Sizemore get you over, the worst record ever set by the Mets back in the day? Like, no. I don't know.
But I also, you don't know. I have no idea. Is there rumblings in the locker room and in the clubhouse that this guy just, wasn't well liked? And, at the end of the day, like, front office, whether you have an owner that's like financially supportive or not, like, if you're the general manager and if you're hearing, if there's rumblings that like the players just not vibing with the guy, and there are some young players that you want to keep and potentially try to like theoretically build around, like maybe this is like a scapegoat move to kind of appease these young players. I don't know. I haven't heard any of that. Not that I've heard that he was like an unlikable guy, but just a thought. Because I'm with you. Like, you're not. What are you trying to salvage here?
Right.
Like, what are you trying to salvage?
Yeah, I get that.
You
too.
Essentially, you have already locked in the worst record in the history of baseball. Essentially.
Yeah, similar comment in the chat. If you got to blame
Yeah.
somebody, why not blame him? And whatever. It's not fair to him.
It's unfortunate, but that's what you sign up for when you take the gig.
Yeah. Well, imagine being Grady Sizemore. Hey, we're going to oust this guy and then hand you this train wreck. Good luck.
Yeah. I haven't heard Grady Sizemore's name in forever.
I assume he's probably just still hurt from back in the days of the Indians, but I mean, a shame. I mean, that's a guy like Buxton or Royce Lewis who had boatloads of talent and just as many injuries.
Yeah, man. So I don't know. I don't know if it will be interesting to see what direction the White Sox go in the offseason, but it's definitely something to keep an eye on because I don't know where you even start at that point. Like, it's like we complain about the Red Sox all the time, but I mean, this organization is in shambles. And we've talked about the Pirates in the past, the Reds in the past, about how they have dealt, with their rebuilds. The White Sox are just in a league of their own right now. They can't figure anything out.
I think they really hurt themselves too, and it was just unfortunate the way that worked out. But the whole like Tony La Russa experiment just straight up like couldn't have gone worse. And it's almost like trying something like that and failing so miserably with it set your rebuild back years. It wasn't just like, oh, this is a wasted year. It's like you just set years back in a potential rebuild. Like players, it's rare that you have players like, what's that, last year, right? The years are running together. That was last year with La Russa. Or was it 2 years ago?
Yeah.
2 years ago. This was Grifal's second, right?
2 years ago, right? Because Grifal was last year and then into this year, right? Okay, so 2 years ago. Dude, you had players during the season, like banding together and outwardly being like, this dude's a lunatic. We can't stand playing for this guy. Like usually that stuff that comes out like after the season, like that was a nightmare scenario for them. Yeah. So I don't know where they go because like if you're in charge of picking the new manager, like how are you not gun shy? Like we don't know what we're doing. We tried to pick a guy that was experienced and has won like 1 billion baseball games, failed miserably. We tried the young guy that was like close in age to the players, young guy, like good guy, baseball guy, failed miserably. Like I don't know. I would hate to be in charge of that search.
Yeah, it's fair.
What's interesting though is the White Sox are still drawing on average 18,000 fans a game, which puts them ahead of Tampa Bay, Miami, and Oakland, and just barely behind Kansas City for attendance. So I mean, you're getting 18,000 butts in the seats to watch that dumpster fire. Reinsdorf has got to be making pretty good money, plus the TV contract and a major media market. Like, he's got to be cashing quite the check each year.
Well, we'll see if attendance goes back down since the losing streak's over, because I bet that probably spiked up when people were like, "Oh, they're losing. Let's be a part of history."
Probably why they fired Grifal. They wanted the record and didn't get it.
Yeah, right. All right. So since we're kind of talking about records and all of that stuff, no team currently is on pace for 100 wins this season, which is the first time since, if it happens this year, it'll be the first time since 2014 that no team has won 100 games. In 2014, could you guys tell me who had the most wins in the major leagues?
14? Yeah, so year after the Red Sox won the World Series, so that's...
And the answer will surprise you, I think.
Twins?
No. We have a regular that comes on and usually comments, and he's an avid fan of this team.
Angels?
Angels.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yep.
So they led the league in wins that year. That
And
no
how many?
one won 100. I think it was like 86. Like, it wasn't, like, it was low.
So no one even hit 90.
No. Like, it was crazy.
And what's the highest pace this year? You said no one's on pace for 100. Do you know what the highest
I
pace is?
don't have the pacing, but our best
All right.
record in baseball right now is
It was I saw it
69
yesterday.
and 49.
I saw it yesterday. You've got 3 teams on pace for 98 wins. The Guardians,
Okay,
the
so
Orioles, and the Yankees are all on
Orioles
pace
and
for
the
98.
Yankees.
Phillies are on pace for 97.
all right. So it's
They're
it
close.
wouldn't take a major. It wouldn't take a major run. for
Oh,
a
just
team to
kidding.
get on
It
pace, but-
was 98 in 2014 by the Angels.
Oh,
My
90.
fault.
Oh, so they were
It
right.
was 98.
Close.
Yeah, they were right there. 98. I was like 86 seems too
Okay.
low. That's why I double checked.
Yeah, I was going to look that up too, because I think you mean 96, but
Yeah, 98.
Yep.
So yeah, your top records in
I think that's
baseball
good,
were
though.
the Angels, the Nationals, and the Orioles in 2014.
Look, I think this balanced schedule helps. I mean, you got more teams playing good teams, and this is what we were hoping for at the beginning of the year when we were talking about like the preseason kind of prediction stuff. We were talking about how there were a number of divisions that we saw as just completely wide open. This is what we want. You want divisions that have 3, 4, theoretically 5 teams in the division that all have a legitimate chance to win games and make a play for it. You're kind of seeing it here, and I think that's great.
Yeah.
I mean, it's because how often, you get a team that wins 105, 106, and the next best team wins 94, 95. I mean, yes, 10 games ahead as far as best record in baseball, but do they have a 10 times better chance or whatever, a
No.
10 game chance to win the World Series? No. I mean, give me good games year round, because you're going to get good games in the playoffs. You're going to get good series in the playoffs. You might as well just give it to me all year round too. So
Yeah.
I have no issues with it. I don't think I think if anything, it's a kind of an incline in the talent and not a decline.
yeah, and it's like we talked about the All-Star break. The first half was a little bit of a false read because the Guardians and Phillies got off these crazy hot starts, but they had the easiest schedules in baseball. They've got harder schedules in the second half, and you're seeing that. The Phillies are struggling right now, and the Guardians are also struggling right now. They're facing more teams that are better in a greater percentage of their games, and you're seeing them struggle, like putting them back to normal. I mean, you've got the Phillies, who've been atrocious since the All-Star break, are 4-6 in their last 10, and that's actually the best 10-game streak they've had since the All-Star break. They've had 2 10-game windows. The Guardians are 3-7, but they're facing better teams every night, and it's harder. So they've come back to life. In the meantime, the Orioles and Yankees have caught back up to them. And I think you're going to see the National League. You've got quite the race going with all the different teams that are still in contention, both for divisions and the wild card. American League, not quite as tight, but you're seeing the second half be the normalizer we thought it would be, and putting all these teams in a pretty tight cluster, which to your point, Sean, is what you want. You want it to be more balanced.
Yeah. So let's run down through those divisions real quick. Starting in the AL East, who do we think comes out on top in the next 2 months? I mean, it's a tight race.
I'm still
I
taking
say Baltimore. Yeah, I'm taking Baltimore.
I'm going to keep riding that train.
Okay. I'm with you guys there. So Okay, Guardians. The Twins are a game and a half back, and the Royals are sitting 4.
3.5 back now because the Twins have lost 2 in a row.
Okay.
I think the Guardians still win the division, but I think they're only going to have a couple. They're only going to win by a game or two. It's going to be tight to the end.
Yeah.
And then
yeah.
And then the West. This one's the race right here, Mariners and Astros. And it is really hard to pick against those Astros. They always find a way to win, and I hate that. I hate it. I hate it.
I think the Astros are the pick until somebody takes them off their throne, and it just hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, and they're playing such good baseball right now. The Astros are playing such good baseball right now. It's hard to go against them for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you see that? The Red Sox are in the running for the Stanley Cup this year.
Yeah, can't wait for that.
With Messi playing linebacker for the Blue Jays.
It's probably the only shot that they got at winning the championship this year.
Actually, if the Blue Jays played football, they might have a better chance than playing baseball.
Facts. So yeah, I mean, I want to see the Mariners somehow get through this with their pitching staff, because I want to see that pitching staff in the postseason. I really do.
I do too,
but their offense,
they've scored 70 fewer runs than the Astros. They've given up 50 fewer runs, but they've scored 70 fewer runs.
They are 29th.
They've scored fewer runs than the Oakland Athletics.
Yeah, the White Sox are the only team behind them offensively.
Right.
Well, and the White Sox.
It's hard. It's going to be hard, and we've talked about it for years. When you get into August and September and then into the postseason, particularly the postseason in this case, you only face good teams. And yes, your pitching staff is really good, and your pitching staff is going to keep you in the games. But you're not going to win games if you can't score.
No.
You have to be able to score runs.
You can't win 2-1 every night.
And if you have a hard time scoring against the average to below average teams on a consistent basis, how can there be any confidence that you're going to be able to put up an offensive series against above average to really good pitching in the postseason? I just don't I don't see the offense coming through when they need to down the stretch, which is why to me it's Houston all the way.
And I wouldn't count on that pitching being that good in the playoffs either, because when those guys are in tense situations, knowing full well if they make a mistake, their offense can't bail them out. That's when mistakes get made. Yeah. When they grip the ball a little tighter, they pitch a little more careful. They come out of their game trying to protect the offense from not being able to perform. You may see these pitchers struggle in some of these close matchups because they're afraid to make the mistake they can't come back from.
Yeah, that's fair. Don't look now, but the Mets are creeping up on the Braves to take over second place in the NL East here. What's the Braves' issue right now? Health? Besides injuries, injuries.
Matt Olson's having just a dog of a year. So you got no Acuna, no Strider. Olson's having a dog of a year. No Albies. If it wasn't for Ozuna, that team would have really not much going offensively. And other than Sale, their pitching's been good, but not outstanding. Yeah. They're not getting the same level of play they got last year, and you can't survive the injuries if those guys aren't going to play like they did.
No.
Olson is he'll have half the production this year he had last year. Fell off a cliff.
Which is crazy. Because he had 57, 58 home runs last year?
50 something.
Yeah, insane.
He'll be half of that.
So how are you feeling about your Mets right now, Sean? How do you think they're in a decent shot for a wild card spot right now, and they're playing well.
Yep, they are.
What do you think their chances are?
I think that on paper, it's a roster that can play. Is it a roster that you look at and that's a World Series winner? No, probably not. But they have players that can play. Nick, you and I offline have talked a number of times this year about the underappreciation for a guy like Lindor, the season that he's having this year, coupled with the season that he had last year. It's typical New York fans, this is completely underappreciated. And then when he's gone, you're going to look back and be like, that guy was unbelievable, just unbelievable. Look, going into this year, I was thinking we're talking about the beginning of football season. And if the Mets are in the conversation of right in the chances to get the postseason, I would say that's with a new manager, the talent is there, they have a talented team. But you never know with the new manager. Pete really struggled in the beginning, for the first half of the year. It was not necessarily Pete Alonso numbers.
No,
He's an all-star, but he was an all-star, but they wanted him in the home run derby, so he's kind of an all-star for that purpose.
Yeah, he was a home run derby member and all-star player only because he had to be.
Right. Like we can go back. I don't remember exactly which episode it was, but I had said, like, it's a team that just plays pretty decent baseball.
Mm-hmm.
And then right after I said that, they went on like a stretch where they made like 8 errors a game, and I was like, oh my God, I never opened my mouth. but for the most part, over the course of the season, they play good baseball. It's like they really don't beat themselves. Like a team like that, I think they get hot at the right time. Who knows? I mean, you can beat anybody, you get hot at the right time. I'd love to see them just continue this kind of trajectory. Stay right there in the wild card. You're not winning the division, obviously, but stay right in there, get yourself into the postseason and see what happens. Because this is a team that, because they play pretty good fundamental baseball, you can beat anybody.
That's a team that's talented enough. People look at them and be like, I just don't want to see them in the first round. Like, don't give me the Mets.
Sure.
Like, give me somebody else. Because like, if they're hot, to your point, like Lindor's an animal. I mean, Lindor, Alonso, McNeil gets hot. Like, if these guys all get hot, like they could steamroll anybody.
Nimmo. I mean, you get a guy like Nimmo on the base paths. Like, you just never know. I mean, this guy could in a best of 5.
Yeah.
All it takes is really 1 or 2 guys to kind of go off. Your pitching is average, a little bit above average. You have 2 or 3 guys go off. That's it. That's the series right there.
It takes a Daniel Murphy.
Or it takes
Daniel Murphy.
Or it takes a Steven Pierce in the World Series, and the next thing you know, you're gonna win. Like, you never know who it's gonna come from. But there are so many guys in that lineup that could get hot. That, like, if I'm an opposing team, I'm like, maybe I don't want to face the Mets. Like, give me somebody else.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and on the opposite side, I know we didn't necessarily bring them up, but the opposite side, I look at a team like the Red Sox, and it's like, the Red Sox are right there. They kind of fallen off a little bit in the last, week and a half or whatever. But, for all intents and purposes, it's August 12th, and they're kind of right there. Yeah. Probably the worst defense I've ever seen in the history of my life watching.
Oh, they're so bad.
Like, they can't play defense. And it's like, I don't care how good of an offense you are. Like, if my team is like, okay, we have the Red Sox in the first round, it's like, all right, just put the ball in play because they are going to beat themselves. Just put the ball in play. It's seriously.
No, it's so true.
They're battling the Phillies for that title.
Oh,
that's for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, they should just leave the gloves in the dugout.
Until the Phillies clean it up, I don't care how many regular season wins they have. Until the Phillies clean something like that up, they will not win a World Series.
No, I agree.
Because you face a team that, like, 3 or 4 times in a series, you give them extra outs in an inning, you will pay every time.
Oh, yeah.
You will pay every time. And those extra outs are what cost you games. And the Red Sox are learning that now. So the Mets are the opposite. It's like they just play fundamental baseball. They give you 3 outs. They capitalize when teams make errors. They run the bases pretty well. I just think they're a team that I'd like to see get in, because I think if they get in and they're playing the right kind of baseball, who knows?
Yeah, you're right. Little League World Series coaching advice. I've actually seen better defense in Little League World Series.
But against the Red Sox, that really is the play. You should hit the ball on the ground, bunt, steal bases. Like, they'll blow it. That's what they do.
So I think the only division race that's over is the NL Central. The Brewers are up 7.5. I don't see anybody catching them at this point.
No, now it's a matter of will the Cubs overtake the Cardinals and try to fight for a wild card spot, because they've all of a sudden come back to life. And the Cardinals are, they stole one from Kansas City the other night. They've scored 4 runs in the last couple innings to steal one from the Royals, but they're up and down as they have been.
Yep. And then our NL West is heating up here. So the Diamondbacks and Padres are 3.5 back from the Dodgers now. Diamondbacks are playing very good baseball right now.
Best team in baseball since July 10th or July 1st?
Yeah. And that's despite losing Walker. Marte went down. I think he's going to be back, but they're
25-10 since July 1st. Like, they're best team in baseball in that time frame. And again, another team, like Sean was saying, they just play good baseball. Early in the season, they did not.
Right.
They've finally brought it back around. And the Dodgers, what I will say is the Dodgers are getting healthy. Mookie Betts was activated today, so he's back. He makes a huge difference in that lineup. Freddie Freeman has all that personal stuff that is going to continue to mess with him throughout the rest of the year. Who knows how that's going to go. They're supposed to get some pitching back because they lost River Ryan last week. They just continue to lose guys. And we said it in the offseason, like they built this team on injury concerns. Yamamoto coming over. Every Japanese player seems to get an arm injury in their first season. What does he do? 3 months into the season, arm injury. You got Glass now. You got Bueller. You got Gonsolin, May. Like you just keep stacking Gratterall, Kershaw. Like you've got a staff full of injury question marks, and that bit them. Now, as they get healthy, that's good. But like, are you going to rely on Glass now to be good deep into October? I'm not. I'm not comfortable he's going to be there for you in October.
Yeah. And at what point does the organization start looking at the strength and conditioning staff and being like, hey, maybe we need to tweak our throwing program a little bit. Like maybe these guys are throwing a little too much, or we're not giving them enough rest. And should we put them on an innings count?
Stop doing what the Yankees do and throw big contracts at guys that have, long injury lists or a lot of miles on them.
Yeah, or that. So the wild card is where the NL wild card is where the
NL's
real
nuts.
race. The NL wild card is where the real race is. The Diamondbacks and the Padres are 4 games up on everybody else. Then you got the Braves in the 3rd spot. Mets are a half game back. Cardinals are a game and a half. So are the Giants. And then Cubs are 3. Reds are 4.5. Pirates are 5. And then everybody else is 8 or more. Yep. So we got 6 teams. We have 9 teams fighting for 3 spots.
Basically,
this race in the next 2 months is got all my attention. I am watching this closely because the Mets could leapfrog into that wild card spot here in the next day or so.
Yeah, and the AL wild card, realistically, you've got the Red Sox on the outside, the Twins, the Royals, and the Mariners. You got 4 teams fighting for 3 spots. Like everybody else is kind of out of it at this point. It's still an interesting race, but the NL is where all the action is going to be for August and September.
Yeah, it's crazy. So, all right. So that was a quick rundown through the divisions. Let's go over award predictions real quick. We didn't do this at the All-Star break, but just real quick, who's your AL MVP pick? Who's your NL MVP pick right now? If you had to go AL, there's really only there's 2 to choose from.
I'm taking Witt. I picked Witt I picked Witt back in the spring. Sure. I'm going to stay on the Royals bandwagon, and I'm going to stay with Witt.
He'll get some consideration, no doubt, and deservedly so.
Absolutely. The kid's a beast. It's unreal. If you haven't tuned in to watch him play on consecutive nights or 2 or 3 days in a row, you need to, because it's unreal what he does.
Mookie went deep tonight.
Of course he did.
Why wouldn't he? Good Lord.
But I mean, it is Aaron Judge. I mean, he's got 40 and 100 already. I mean, that's silly. And teams aren't even throwing to him anymore.
No.
Like, I mean, they're just intentionally, we were just talking about it last week. Like, 1 finger up, go to first base. Thanks.
Yeah.
If that's not MVP status, I don't know what is. I mean, yeah, the numbers aren't going to be there. Like, he hit the 62 home runs and whatever that year because he's getting walked, because he's getting the Barry Bonds treatment, if you will. Like, I'm not going to let the most valuable player in the league, the best hitter in the league, beat me. And if that doesn't scream MVP, then I don't know what does. Not taking anything away from Bobby Witt Jr., because that dude's an animal.
Oh, yeah.
But,
sure.
I mean, I think it's Aaron Judge for sure. But, all right. And then in your NL.
I'm going to go a little off here. I'm going to take Ketel Marte.
Yeah, I love it.
I think that when you look at where the Diamondbacks have come from and what he's done and the defense he plays at a premium position in second base, I will take that over a DH any day. Shohei Ohtani's numbers, super impressive. But he does one thing and he hits four times a game. Ketel Marte plays solid Gold Glove quality defense, and he hits, and at times he's carried that team. So I'll take Marte.
And he just hit his 30th bomb too.
Yeah.
So
he does everything.
Yeah.
He does everything for them.
He's the big reason why the Diamondbacks have turned the corner here in the second half. Like I said last week, he is my favorite player to watch right now, hands down. And every swing he takes, he's never off balance. He squares everything up, and he hits it hard. First inning homers, 9th inning homers, it doesn't matter. Like, he is always in every single game. But, I mean, it's gonna go to Shohei. I know it's gonna.
Unfortunately,
Yeah, it is.
I feel salty about it too because Ketel Marte was my last year's pick.
Yeah.
For NL MVP, if you guys remember, and I
do.
just seem to be a bit of like a year off, but it's going to go to Shohei. He hits the home runs, and that's what baseball is now.
Well, he's at 30-30 already.
Yeah.
So I mean,
I get it. I'm not saying it's like out of nowhere. Right. I'm just saying like it's unfortunately going to be a runaway when it shouldn't be a runaway.
Yes. Yeah.
I think there's legitimate consideration for Ketel Marte.
All I can say is
unfortunately, I don't think he's going to get a single first place vote.
No, all I can say is he's DH, and in between innings when Ketel Marte's out there saving runs, Ohtani's down in the cage hitting off a tee. Like it's just not the same.
Okay.
I'll die on the DH mountain too. If I have to die on that hill, I'll die on that hill.
Fair.
Because it's the most overrated position in baseball.
Let's move over to the NL Cy Young. Who do we think is getting the NL Cy Young? And I think it's Chris Sale at this point. I hate it.
I'm taking Chris Sale, and I don't like it. But I mean, Zach Wheeler's had a good season. Nola's been good. Ranger Suarez he's struggled of late after a crazy good start.
I'd love to see Skeens get some nods.
Oh, I would love to see that too. I mean, you've got Suarez in San Diego who's been good, but he's a bullpen guy. Too. Like Helsley and Suarez have been like lights out in the bullpen. But I'm not going to give it to a bullpen guy.
Why not?
I mean, you could argue Emmanuel Clase in the AL. He's having one of the greatest seasons that a closer's ever had. Yeah. But I still struggle with that.
Okay. So AL Cy Young.
Burns has made it a lot closer than I thought it was going to be.
I agree. If you asked me 2-3 weeks ago, I would have said Skubal in a runaway.
It was Skubal in a landslide.
I'll still stick with it. My beginning of the season pick was Ragans, kind of fallen off. I mean, he still had a really good year, but not a Cy Young year. So I'll switch and stay in the division, but I'll go to Skubal here.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm gonna just go off the beaten path. I'm gonna take Seth Lugo. I think Skubal and Burns are 1A and 1B. I think Seth Lugo is number 2. Highly underrated, very quietly putting up a monster season. Hugely valuable to that KC team. For the hell of it, I think that Lugo should get some consideration for what he's done for an organization that has really needed him. Yeah.
My preseason pick was Corbin Burns, and it was for the fact that he's going to be a free agent at the end of this year and wouldn't get signed. So it'd be our second Cy Young Award winner, in a row that wouldn't get signed by a team. Right. So I'm going to stick with Burns there, but
don't
Skubal's disgusting.
Yeah. Don't sleep on Class A. Emmanuel Clase has got 35 saves. He's pitched 54 innings. He's given up 4 earned runs, and he's struck out 47 in 54 innings.
So
right. Four earned runs.
So I'll be honest with you. I don't have like a. I should probably do the legwork and like get numbers to back this up, but I'm just too lazy right now. I feel like when a reliever or a closer, particularly closer, wins a Cy Young, it's because there wasn't a dominant starter available. That's not the situation here. You have 2 real dominant starters that you can go to. I don't see the voting bypassing 2 starters like Skubal and Burns to go to Class A. Fair. I'm with you as far as like the consideration. I just don't see it happening.
No, I think he'll steal a few votes.
Or you have to
he's had a stupid good season.
Or you have to have a season like Eric Gagne had and have 84 consecutive saves.
Right.
Like,
I mean,
that's the only other way you're going to get it.
I mean, Gagne beat out Jason Schmidt, who was 17-5 with a 2.34. He beat out Mark Pryor, who was 18-6 with a 2.43, and beat out Russ Ortiz, who was 21-7 with a 3.81.
Yeah.
But he had 55 saves, struck out 137 in 82 innings, and had a 1.2 ERA. 11 runs all season. So, I mean, off the charts. Oh, we lost Nick. Well,
Nick. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just so Nick.
It's so Nick. If you were to pick, if you had the chance to grab Corbin Burns or Tariq Skubal on your rotation, Sean, who are you taking? Who's number one for you? You got one guy. Who do you take?
School.
See, I feel the same way. I'm a huge Corbin Burns fan, but I still would take Skubal.
This has absolutely my picking of Skubal has absolutely zero to do with Corbin Burns.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? It's just
Yeah.
I love Skubal. I love him. I love everything about him. I love his bulldog mentality. I love his stuff. I just love everything about him.
Yep.
And I think he is a legitimate. I mean, he's been in the league for a handful of years. I think he is a legitimate ace for the next 8 years, 9 years.
Yeah, he's likely one of those kind of late bloomers that really puts it together after a handful of seasons.
Yeah. Who do you guys got for rookie of the year?
I don't like this one as
I
much.
don't know.
Nick, who do you have?
I have Jackson Churio for the NL.
Yeah.
He's kind of hidden away up there in Milwaukee. He was
Fair.
my pick at preseason. I think it's
Fair.
Jackson Churio in the NL. And honestly, right now, I think it's Willie Abreu.
Yeah. So Will Abreu was my pick in the preseason.
Yeah.
I had him. I picked him in the preseason. I also think Ceddanne Rafaela has a case to be made as well.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a winning case to be made. I don't know if I could argue that he should win it. And I've said it from the beginning, if you guys remember, like I don't think he gets enough credit for the way they handled him in the first couple months of just playing like a billion different positions while also batting like in the middle of the lineup and also being like, oh, by the way, like we have a lot of stuff we're dealing with injury wise. Like we need you to play middle infield. We need you to play center field. We need you to like lead the team and being aggressive on the bases.
Right.
We need you to also add a little bit of power and hit some home runs because we're going to go through a period of time where we're not scoring a lot of runs. So like we need you to do all of those things, but we also need you to play Gold Glove defense while you're doing all those things, because if you don't, we're screwed. And like he kind of followed through on pretty much all of it.
Yeah.
So I don't know if the numbers are there enough. I do think he strikes out a little bit too much and all that, but he's a young player. But I think he certainly deserves the conversation. To me, there's no doubt.
Yeah, no, I think he got off to a bit of a slow start, partially settling in, but also I think to your point, getting bounced around, trying to figure out his place. He's been really good the last couple months for the Red Sox and does a little bit of everything for them.
And I know I hope it's here to stay, the kind of the running coming back into baseball. Yeah. But I could watch whether between Duran, I know he's probably not someone we want to talk about right now, but between Duran, between Rafaela, between David Hamilton, like those guys on the Red Sox, like I could watch them just wreak havoc on the base paths all day. Yeah. It's just so enjoyable to watch. And I hope this is a sign that, like, not just with the Red Sox organization, but just baseball in general, I hope that's coming back. Baseball is so much fun, man. When you got guys going first or third on a single to left field, like that's so fun.
Yeah,
you know
it is. The game's faster.
Well, what's Ellie De La Cruz? Isn't Ellie De La Cruz up to like 57 stolen bases right now? I think
he's on pace for like 84 last I saw, or something crazy.
Yeah. He's just under 6, right? Just under 6.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely insane.
So yeah, bring it back. Bring the speed back. Bring the running back. Bring chaos. I love chaos. Everybody that listens to this knows how much I love chaos. Just give me chaos.
Puts pressure on the defense, pressure on the pitchers.
Absolutely.
Mistakes get made, more hit it. Like it feeds and makes it a more exciting game to watch. So, in the American League, I really for me it was Luis Heel until about 2 weeks ago, and then it became Colton Cowser. Like that guy. A good one. That guy, he hits everything. He just hits everything. Yeah, and I mean, there was a stretch there when the Orioles were kind of scuffling where he literally just like threw them on his back and said, I got you. I'll carry us through this couple week stretch. And he was all they had. But I was a huge Luis Heel fan until a couple weeks ago, and the Cowser just continues to do it every night.
Yeah, that's a great pick. Solid. Do you have an NL one or no?
And NL, I'm gonna take Paul Skeens. I don't see how he doesn't run away with this thing. I mean, I know that his velocities come down a little bit. They were showing a stat where he's only thrown 4 pitches over 100 in his last few starts, where he had thrown like 47 in his first 4 starts. So like his average velocity is coming down. So likely getting tired because keep in mind this is only his first professional season coming out of college. Likely some fatigue there. I think he's settling into realizing he doesn't have to necessarily gas it up every pitch, and he's got to preserve his arm a little bit. So I think there's a settling in period we're seeing right here, but he's still winning games, and he's still damn near unhittable most of the time.
Yeah. I don't know the guy, so maybe it's a little bit of fatigue.
Well, we were hanging out yesterday. I'll tell you all about it.
Yeah, nice. I would chalk it up to what you said. The second thing is, though, I think he's, it's the learning how to pitch, but also the learning that like my stuff is still really goddamn good. I don't have to throw it 102 every time.
Yeah, 98 works still.
Like I don't have to, because like my stuff is so good. These guys are not comfortable in the box. Like 99, 98 does the trick just as well.
Yeah.
And that's how you save yourself. I mean, that's how you extend. That's how you can, you last. I mean, who am I? But I mean, that's just common sense, right? Like you don't have to blow your elbow out on your fourth start. Like your stuff is so good. Like you don't need to rear back and go 100 and 102 every time you throw a fastball. And I think he's learning that his stuff is just so good. Yeah. I think it's him in a landslide in the National League. I would love to see him win both. Win the Cy Young and win the Rookie of the Year.
And that's what made Verlander so good for so long, because he could stay at 96, 97 all game long.
Yeah.
But he had 102 in his back pocket and be like, "Oh, I need to blow this by you." Like, okay, go take a seat, buddy.
How many times did we see that from him in Detroit?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like,
it'd be in the 8th inning, and he's at his 98th pitch, and he just threw it 101. You're like, what the hell?
Well, that was like,
absolutely.
Pedro, 93, 94 all game, 98 when he needed it, 99 when he needed it. But think about what you just said, Sean, the insanity of what you just said. He can dial it back and throw it 98. Like,
yeah,
like it just doesn't seem right. Like he can just kind of casually throw 98. I mean, come on.
It's insane.
It's insanity.
All right. And last category I have is Manager of the Year. I think right now, hands down in the AL, it's got to be Matt Quatraro for the Royals. What the turnaround for that team, that franchise, that whole organization right now. Yes, Bobby Witt is huge. Pasquatch is another reason why. But the pitchers they brought in have been huge. But, I mean, what he's doing with that team, I think, is...
Did you see that? So they brought over Urkeg from Oakland.
Yeah, Oakland.
He just gave up his first run in like his 6th appearance for them. And like they found they worked with it on a minor tweak in his delivery when he got to Kansas City. And he was lights out for like 9 straight innings. They're like,
he also throws like quadruple digits too. That kid,
and now he's throwing quadruple digits with movement and control.
Yeah, it's
like,
crazy.
Yikes!
It's crazy. Yeah, and then getting Hunter Harvey too at the deadline.
Yeah,
another huge arm in that bullpen. So the Royals are in good shape going forward. But
obviously the Royals have been my team all season. The only reason I pause, because I really want to see Quatraro win it, is what Stephen Vogt's done in Cleveland with that team. Those two are going to like absolutely battle for that Manager of the Year award, because Vogt, first-year manager, a roster that nobody knew what to expect, that has absolutely played just great baseball. And the players love him. They play hard for him. They listen. He's one of the few coaches able to walk in on day one and command a locker room, having just been there himself. Like what he's done there in his first year is quite impressive with a young roster.
Yeah. And I can't believe I'm going to say this, but Alex Cora could also be in the consideration, because the Red Sox we're not supposed to be in this situation fighting for a wild card spot. But we're supposed to be in the basement underneath the Blue Jays.
I know.
At the beginning of the year, we were supposed to be underneath the Blue Jays, looking at the White Sox, like looking for the worst record in the league. We have turned.
Well, I don't know about that. I don't.
We thought it was a 500.
I'm being a little overzealous, Sean. All right, but
being dramatic.
I'm right. I mean, that's what I am. I'm dramatic. Okay, just hang with me.
Diva.
Okay? But you got the new pitching coach. He's made changes. Like our pitching has changed. Our philosophy has changed. The players seem to be playing harder this year than I've seen Red Sox in the past few years. Like it's a different feel for the Red Sox team than it has been.
So I would agree with like probably 85-90% of what you said. I think as long as Cora's been the manager, the players play hard for him. I don't think that's ever been a question. 2018, they were the best team in baseball. They played hard for him from the beginning to the end. They were an absolute wagoon, and they won the World Series. And then 2019, he's out, suspension. It was kind of an odd, weird, whatever, ever since he's been back.
Renicky was a short timer. They all knew it.
Yeah, well, sure. Ever since he's been back, I've never watched the Red Sox being like, they don't play for the manager. They don't play hard for the manager. The one thing that's hard for me to I'm you guys know I'm a huge Cora guy. I think he's a great manager.
But you're picking Boone this year, right?
It's hard. I'm not even going to acknowledge it.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to put him in a manager of the year conversation when we knew from spring training and the beginning of the year that this was a putrid defense, and we've seen zero improvement. Zero improvement.
Yeah.
If you're just that much better, if you're just that much better as a defense, you're in the wild card right now.
Yeah. Very true.
Just that much better. Just that much better. Just a little bit better. You're ahead. You're holding one of the wild card positions at this moment. Yep. And I'm not talking leaps and bounds better. I'm just talking a little bit better. And there has been no kind of focus on it. And that's a hard thing for me. It's you're the manager. That's your job. And it's hard to. I think he's done a great job with the lineup, with the injuries. I mean, Story getting hurt and Cassis missing pretty much, all this time. And I think he's done a great job with bringing guys like Dom Smith in and working their way in and out. He moves guys up and down the lineup, and he gets buy-in from these guys all the time. I don't think he has a great bullpen. I think he's done a pretty decent job managing the bullpen. All of those, yes. But a fundamental part of baseball is playing defense. And when you don't address that at all, I have a hard time being you're the best manager in the American League.
That's fair.
You know what I mean? That's it's hard for me.
Especially a guy in Cora who was kind of a defensive specialist for most of his career.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's fair. How about in the NL? This one's a little interesting because I don't know.
I like Pat Murphy in Milwaukee.
Yeah,
I mean, I
just really shove it to Craig Counsell.
Well, yeah, almost, yeah, dude, kinda.
Yeah.
And if you guys almost as a kind of shove it in my own hoop, because Craig Counsell was the reason I had picked the Cubs to win that division. I thought they finally get themselves a manager that's a good manager, knows what he's doing, good club, young players, talented roster, yada yada. Craig Counsell was my put it over the top.
Yeah.
And they put it on my hoop because now the guy that replaced him in Milwaukee is running away with that division. So, I think he deserves a nod, certainly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great pick.
I think I agree. I think Pat Murphy gets serious consideration. I think another guy, Sean, is your Mets manager, Mendoza.
Mm-hmm.
That team was a
agree.
fire sold last year, and Cohen was throwing the towel in and waiting to rebuild, and then they kind of didn't rebuild. And that team is, even though they had some really wretched stretches, they've stayed in it and they've fought, and they're giving themselves a chance, and nobody thought they had one. I think Mendoza and I think Derek Shelton of the Pirates are both going to get some consideration too, because those teams have just fought and scraped and clawed to stay in it. And I think that's going to give them some votes.
I mean, you look at the Padres too. I know they're not really one of our favorite teams to talk about, but Schultz kind of kept them in the race too. So, I mean,
they've played really good of late.
Yeah. So Jerks and Profar emerging out of nowhere and having the season of his life has definitely helped.
He was like a fourth outfielder, and all of a sudden he's a stud.
Dude, did you see that pitch he took off the kneecap the other day?
Oh no!
Oh my God! It was bad. Oh,
it was brutal.
Bad. Yeah, it was a bad one. But
it was bad. It was not fun.
All right, fellas, it's trivia time.
Oh boy,
we got some MLB blurred trivia, and then I have got a surprise trivia for you after our blurred trivia.
I love when he gives a surprise trivia with no chance to prep for.
Yep, that's right.
I mean, really, how do you prep for trivia? You don't know what he's going to ask anyways.
Well, I mean, that's facts, but our viewers love it when we're not educated. So let's go.
Yeah, I'm not a baseball fan. That's fine though.
Yep, it's great. All right, here's the first one. Played from 1993 to 2008 for the Cubs, the Rays, the Mets, Orioles, Cubs again, and then the Orioles again. 143 and 159 win-loss record. 4.39 ERA. One-time All-Star in 96. He's a starting pitcher. Who is this?
Is it Scott Erickson?
No, it's not a bad guess. It's
Got a
not
kind
him.
of a
Can you go back to the stats again? Cubs, Rays, Mets, Orioles,
Dempster?
Cubs, Orioles.
What did you say, Harrison?
Is it Dempster?
It's not Dempster.
No, he played for the Red Sox too. The
Oh,
Red
you're
Sox
right.
would have been in there.
That's right. Yeah, Clement and it can't be Clement or Dempster. They both play for the Sox.
Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Kind of a funny like lean
said it was
back release.
Starting pitcher, right?
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna hate myself when I say this one.
This one is
Oh, Steve
I wouldn't have got
Traxel.
that.
The straight
I
over
wouldn't
the
have got
top
that.
delivery. I used to hate watching him pitch.
Steve Traxel.
Oh,
Yeah. All right, next one. Played from 2007 to 2017 for the Red Sox, Pirates, Phillies, A's, Indians, Cardinals, Royals. 160 career home runs, one-time All-Star for the A's in 2014. Bats left, throws right, outfielder and first baseman. Who is this?
is that Jeremy Giambi?
Nope.
Go back.
Oh, it's a 17. I'm way
Red
too
Sox,
soon.
Pirates, Phillies, A's, Indians, Cardinals, Royals.
Hosmer?
No.
No, he played. It would have been in reverse order.
Was it mainly first base and a little outfield, or vice versa? Or
I think it was mostly outfield and then played first base for like a couple teams because that's just where they needed the hole.
does he have glasses?
I don't believe so.
Did he wear glasses?
I don't believe so.
Oof.
I don't know. I'm 0 for 2 here.
This is
Oh, ball bag. Yes.
Yeah, Brandon Moss.
Jesus.
Brandon Moss. Yeah.
He was really good once he got out of Boston.
Confirmed,
Yep.
not glasses, for the record. I know he doesn't wear glasses.
Yep. Brandon
Damn
Moss. All right. Next one.
He was a top prospect too that never really became.
Yep. All right. Played from 1990 to 1999 for the Royals, Cubs, Mets, Rockies, and Blue Jays. 103 career home runs, 261 career average, switch hitter, and center fielder. I will also add that his dad was part of the MLB. Who is this?
His dad was part of MLB,
Mm-hmm.
like at that time.
Might have actually been on the bench behind him.
Oh, it's not Devon White, which is where I was going first.
No.
Is it it's not one of the Alus, is it?
Nope, but you're on the right track. Like it's a father-son connection. His father was managing him.
Back in the 90s. Jose Cruz? No. He was not right hand. It was switch.
His father's name is Hal.
Oh, McRae.
Yeah, it's Brian McRae.
Brian McRae.
What's the
Yep.
kid's? Brian.
Yeah, Brian McRae. Nice. All right. Next one.
Oh my God.
Played from 1938 to 1942. 3 years in the war. 1946, 1959 for the
Albert
Cardinals, Yankees, A's, Yankees, and Braves again. He's a Hall of Famer, 10-time All-Star, 300 career average, bats left, throws right, and he was a right fielder. Who is this? Anybody in the chat?
I have no idea.
I'm so bad at this today. I'm like out of it. I have no idea.
I mean, I have no idea.
All right. This is Enos Slaughter.
Oh, what a great name, though.
You don't know who Enos Slaughter is?
Oh, no, Slaughter is. I do. Yes.
Oh, I was like, whew.
No, but he's got a great name.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. All right. Played from 1948, 1957 for the Dodgers. Hall of Famer, 3-time MVP, 11-time All-Star, and he's a catcher. Like played
Over
with
the years?
Jackie Robinson. Played with
So was it
Jackie
Roy?
Robinson. 48. Yes, it's Roy. Roy Campanella.
Roy.
Yeah, good. Roy Campanella. Okay. Played from 1991 to 2004 for the Expos, Rockies, Padres, Pirates, Giants, Yankees, Brewers, and Reds. Known for being a career pinch hitter, bats left, throws left, outfielder, and first baseman. Who is this? I mean, it seemed like you saw this guy every single day, every single day, pinch hitting for a team. Sorry,
Easy there, Karen.
just terrible. We'll cut that. We'll cut that one out.
Scroll real quick.
Oh, sorry.
Back
Hold
into
on.
the stats.
A little flustered now.
The only guy I think was a career pinch hitter was Matt Stairs, and that's not his. That's not his.
No, it was like
Right.
just before him. This is John Vanderwall.
Oh, jeez.
You could have given me a million guesses.
John Vanderwall. Loved him. All right. Played from 2000 to 2009 with the White Sox and the final year with the Twins. One-time All-Star, one-time Silver Slugger, 2005 World Series, third baseman. Who's this?
I keep thinking Gordon Beckham, but he was their second baseman, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Good
follow through
guess.
reminds me of Maglio Ordonez, who it obviously isn't, but
Yeah.
It's a dude that's
Mr.
very
Mr. AL
underappreciated.
Central.
yeah. Who? So the 05 White Sox.
When you see this name, you're gonna be like, "Oh man,
I know.
What's he wearing? Number 24 there?
yeah." Not DJ LeMahieu.
I don't know.
Oh boy.
This you got struggled this week. This is
Oh, ball bag. Yes.
Oh, Joe
Creedy.
Creedy. Yep.
Joe
God damn
Creedy.
it.
Another one of those guys like you vaguely remember him, but it's like I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
Damn it, Sean.
Okay. Played from 2003 to 2011 for the A's, Cubs, Rangers, then back with the A's. 17.7 career WAR, 3.76 career ERA, 59 and 38 as a starter. So obviously he's a pitcher. Who is this? It was like the second batch of Oakland trio
Oh,
pitchers
yeah.
that came out.
Is that Heron?
It's the other one.
Oh,
No, because Dan Heron played in Arizona. He played. a
oh,
bunch
that's
of other
right.
places.
That's right. He played other places too. Who came up with Heron?
Not Levon Hernandez, is it?
No,
It was,
It's the-
oh God. I can't remember the other guy.
it's
Oh,
Oh, Rich Harden, Heron, and
Rich
Harden.
Harden.
Yeah.
oh man. Like
yeah,
I was like, I can picture him, and I can't remember his name.
yeah. All right, fellas, here it is. So I have a list of all the players last year that stole over 30 bases.
Oh, geez.
Starting with the most, going down to 30. Okay, I have the team and I have the number of stolen bases. You have to tell me who it is. Okay, so obviously
Acuna.
Acuna.
Yeah, I got one.
Yeah. Next one.
Oh, he's got the name I love to say.
Ruiz there. I don't know his first
Estuary
name.
Ruiz.
Yeah, it's like
Esteri
it's not-
Ruiz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you say? I think you said it right. How do you say it? Asteri?
It's like
Esteri
Esteri.
Ruiz, I think.
Huh. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, Corbin. It's got to be
Yeah.
Corbin, right?
Yeah. It's Corbin Carroll. Good.
Witt.
Yeah.
Bobby
Witt. Good.
Abrams.
Yeah. Good.
Oh,
CJ
good
Abrams.
call. Nico
This
Horner.
one's-
I was going to say
Oh,
Horner.
good one. Yeah. Nico Horner. Good.
Last year, Padres had a 38.
Kim.
Yes, good, Harrison. Hassan Kim. Good.
J-Rod?
Yep,
J-Rod.
Julio. Yep, good.
Gotta be Ellie.
Is it Ellie in a partial season?
Yep. Yeah, that was Ellie in the month of July. That was the disclaimer on that one.
Second half of the year.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I'd say Buxton wasn't healthy.
I'll give you a hint. He was an all-star this year. This might be the toughest one here that you guys might get
Willie
stuck
Castro?
on. Yes, nice.
Oh, good pull. Yep. Hayes?
Nope. This guy flies. And he's
Mateo,
like
Jorge Mateo.
Jorge Mateo.
Oh,
yeah.
Jorge. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jorge's pretty quick.
This is a sleepy one too.
32. So it's not a Rosarina. It's not Diaz. It's not.
I just went on
Paredes.
this whole I think Cora had done a good job with the bullpen. Every time I look over at Zach Kelly's in the game, he's walking somebody. Like, why do we continually bring Zach Kelly into these baseball games? He's my Nick. Who's that guy you hated last year? Brazier. He's my Ryan Brazier.
I don't bring that name up on this podcast anymore. Do we have a guess on this one? This one's a tough one.
Probably they got like 85 guys named Lowe. Probably one of those dudes.
It is Josh Lowe.
Oh, let's go! Oh, they got 100 of them. It was just they got 100 of them.
Oh man.
Yeah.
That's
Or
funny.
it might be Lau. I don't really. It's
Whatever.
Lowe or
I don't know
Lau.
which one's which.
Doesn't matter. He got it. Lindor.
Yeah,
It's got to be
Lindor.
Frankie. Yeah. Got to be Trey.
No, it's not.
Bohm.
Ooh.
Bohm.
It's not Bohm.
Stott.
Yes, Bryson
Yeah.
Stott.
Bryson.
Now it's
Trey.
Is
that
Trey
one
Trey?
Turner. Yeah.
Altuve.
Nope.
Pena.
Nope.
Oh damn.
Tucker.
Tucker.
Oh, good call.
Tucker
Yeah.
had 30 swipes.
He does
Yep.
steal a few.
Yep.
30 seems like a lot. Quan.
30s. That's a lot
Not-
of swipes.
Not Quan.
Straw.
Nope. Infielder.
It's not J Ram.
No, definitely not.
Jimenez.
Jimenez. Yep.
Nice.
So I was running out of
And-
people to name.
And there was one more 30 base guy that I didn't put on the list because he's no longer in MLB.
Oh, Franco.
Franco.
Another guy we don't talk about anymore.
Wait,
Yeah.
he had 30 swipes last year?
Yes,
He played
sir.
almost half the season, right?
Yeah. Yep.
I thought that whole little thing was like well before. I thought it was in
Well,
like
and-
May.
Well, it started in the spring. He didn't get suspended until like middle of the year
yeah.
when all the
He played
charges
qu-
finally filed.
I'm just
Yeah.
I guess I'm just surprised he
Yeah.
played that many games.
Me
I guess
too.
is my point.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah.
You guys did really well with that. Nice job.
Not so much on
Yeah.
the blurred picture.
Yeah. Maybe I'll have to go a little less obscure next week or whatever, or just change it up completely. But
Well, the
Yeah.
whole thing's obscured. It's blurred.
okay.
Wow.
Touche, sir. Touche.
Wow.
All right. That is all I had for this week. Do you guys have anything you would like to add?
No,
Do
just
we-
that the Yankees are currently losing to the White Sox. So there's that.
Yes.
Do we want to talk about the Durant thing at all, or are we just not going to touch that?
I mean, he's paying the penalty for what he said. I think at this point, fans should also be held accountable.
That's kind of where I wanted to go. Is at what point do you have to start to shut some of this down from the seats?
I think you
I
have
think
to.
you've already. I think you've already kind of missed that. I think that's long overdue.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, though, like you can't. There's things that you just can't say.
Yeah.
Like you just can't say that.
Right.
Like you just can't say that. And
Right.
we know in all sports now, man. Like hot mics are everywhere. Like they're just everywhere. Like every game is as accessible. Every game has like a billion microphones. Every fan has their camera phone out videoing every second. Like you just can't say it. You just can't say it.
Yeah.
Like I don't.
Okay.
You got to shut some of it down from the crowd. I heard on, this was a while ago, but like on Pardon My Take, Big Cat says it all the time. Like, imagine if in professional sports, like every athlete is like can fight one fan a year, right? Like one time a year, you get to like pause the game and be like, okay, you come down, we're gonna fight.
Didn't Rendon try to make that a thing?
Yeah. All joking aside, though, if there was like a 2% chance you were gonna have to fight Jaren Durant, I bet you'd keep your mouth shut. You just watch the game. You know,
I would
obviously, like that's not a realistic thing. But like at a certain point, like you're a grown person that's going to a game just to be an ass. Like the fact that you are completely protected with no repercussions is a problem. But again, Durant, you just can't say it.
No,
there are a list of things you can't say. That's one of them.
And I'm not trying to make excuses for him, but he wasn't even saying it to the fan. Oh, like it looked like from the video clip I saw, he was kind of like he did turn in that direction, but it was almost like it wasn't loud enough that like a ton of people heard it. It was just right, but it's still. He said it. I'm not making excuses for him.
No, I know. Like, but I'm just saying you got to be smart enough. Like you got to be smart enough to be if you have a tendency that like those types of things slip out, then like you can't put yourself in a situation where that might slip out in a hot mic. You just can't do it.
Yeah. Right.
You just can't put yourself there.
And like you said, like all 18 players are mic'd up now because the announcers are talking to them in the middle of the game. And like it's
the umpires are mic'd. Players are mic'd. You got boom mics on the top of like every part of like those the screens, like the protective nettings. There's mics up there. Like there's mics everywhere. Like if you think that in today's day and age you can get away with saying something under your breath, think again, because you can't.
Well, think of all the pitchers that like miss a pitch that they think strike three, and they're just like, like
oh yeah, you hear it all the time.
Pick it up. Yeah, all the time.
So, like there are certain parts of games where it's like the beginning of the game and like the fans are just kind of still filing in and it's relatively quiet. You can hear a pitcher ask an umpire where that missed.
Right.
Like you hear that night in and night out. Like, oh, is that a little bit low, a little bit outside, like a little bit inside. And that's just a conversation between a pitcher and an umpire, and you can hear it on TV clear as day. Yeah. So it's like you can't put yourself in that position.
Agree. But yeah, so Durant got 2-game suspension for it, which is consistent across the league. It's been consistent. Other people have been caught on hot mics doing pretty much the same thing, saying the same thing, or some derogatory remark, and they've gotten the 2-game suspension. So there's nothing like egregious about the suspension. He's just going to serve it and then come back.
And what I found interesting is that the suspension was handed down by the Red Sox in consultation with MLB. So usually the league would hand out a punishment like that. The Red Sox did it and got the okay from MLB to the terms of it, which I thought was kind of good of the Red Sox to be the ones that actually dealt with it. But interesting in the fact that MLB let them deal with it instead of them. So you don't often see the suspension come from the team for something like that when you're normally MLB would take care of it.
Yeah.
And then one other little hot take for you guys real quick before we go. So Domingo Germán got called up.
I know where this is going.
And Trevor Bauer's comment was basically LOL to the fact that Domingo Germán got called back up. It is August 12th. Is Trevor Bauer just going to continue to pitch in Mexico and watch this all happen? Yeah. Is it over?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't think we see Bauer in the MLB ever again.
If you're willing to bring a guy like Domingo Germán back, it tells me that you just don't want any part of Bauer.
Yes, but that's what we've been saying for 2 years. It's no longer about A, can he pitch, and B, what did he do, or allegedly what did he do, and it's no longer about that. It is about the circus and sideshow that comes along with player X versus player Y. That's all it is now.
Mm-hmm.
There is no circus that comes with Domingo Germán, at least not certainly the size that is Trevor Bauer. That's all it is. It's what it's been for 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, you got a guy like Ozuna who's in the MVP race and he's been popped for domestic violence. Like you've got enough guys in MLB that have done bad stuff that are still playing, that it shows the fact that MLB is just not going to let him re-enter, which tells me that his lawsuit is most definitely coming.
It's not for me, it's not the allegations that went against Trevor Bauer that's keeping him out of the league. It's what he was saying about the league during his Cy Young stretch there, where he was filthy in Cincinnati and before the Dodgers. Before these allegations came out, he had something to say about the league and how they were doing things wrong before all of this other stuff came out. Like,
Oh, yeah.
and then you add all of this on top of it, it just snowballs, it gets out of control. And like you said, Sean, nobody wants that in their organization. It's not even a league thing. It's just like team by team. Like, I don't want that on my team. He's not a good teammate. I don't want it.
And it's what he continually is still doing and saying. Like the fact that Domingo Germán signs and he gets onto his social media platform, which has been a problem in the sense of like him promoting like Trevor Bauer, like the fact that that platform is what he uses to kind of go after the league, right? He gets onto that same platform and does like an LOL type of like it's it's like he still doesn't get it.
Right.
Like, dude, like, okay, like you did like I don't know, like, and I'm throwing a scenario out. I am by no means saying Trevor Bauer did this, but like you cheat on your wife, right? And you want your wife back, but all the while wanting your wife back, you're going on social media talking about what a piece of shit she is. It's like, well, you're just like it's never gonna happen, dude. Like you're still going after the league. You're still talking about how the league is corrupt. You're still talking about how the league doesn't care about player safety. You're still talking about how the league does things the wrong way. All the while complaining that teams in that league that you're shitting on don't want to pay you millions of dollars to play for them. It's like, I don't understand. Like, what is it that you think is going to happen by the way that you're acting here?
Yeah. No,
it's crazy to me.
It is. Yep.
It's no longer about whether you can still play. It's no longer about the allegations. It hasn't been about that for a little while now, clearly. Because the league doesn't really care about the allegations about some of these guys. Clearly. I mean, there are some really bad dudes that are still getting paid a lot of money to play Major League Baseball. So it's like, it's no longer about that. Just fall in line. If you truly care that much about getting back in Major League Baseball, fall in line. Yeah. Play the game.
I think he's gone too far past that line that he can't stumble back to it.
Now he can't, but
yeah.
I don't know. I'm just so tired of it. Like, I'm tired. Like, every time you see a borderline bad guy get signed, we now have to talk about Trevor Bauer again.
Facts. Yeah.
It's exhausting.
Yeah. It is.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting because he's going to have to make a move to try to force somebody's hand. And, when I was reading just the other day, like the pattern of facts, he's likely going to sue MLB and win, and they're going to pay him to go away. But they're at this point, MLB is accepting the fact it's going to cost them money to keep him out because they just don't want him back that badly, because he's the one that blew the whistle on sticky stuff. He's the one that screamed about spider attack. He's the one that screamed about rosin. And he's been right, but he's been obnoxious about it. And MLB just doesn't want it.
Yeah. And then it's not even like the league. Like, the league might be there, but all these organizations are also individuals. They're also, individual organizations. And if he doesn't fit those 30 organizations,
right,
then he doesn't fit. Like, you don't have to hire somebody for your company if you don't like them.
Trevor Bauer has Trevor Bauer has spent years proving that the minute he disagrees with something, he is going to take it on his own platform, and he's going to spin it his own way, and he is going to make sure that the public hears his version first. If you are an employer, why in the world would you want somebody like that in your clubhouse?
Exactly.
No, you don't. Life of me, I don't understand it.
No, you don't.
No.
So just enough. It's just, yes, correct. Other scumbag gets signed. You didn't. You did it to yourself. End of story.
Yeah. Amen. Exclamation point. Trevor Bauer, done with this podcast. Done.
Well, until he sues them, then it'll get really interesting.
Yeah, maybe. But
yeah. Yes. Yes. But then it's over. At least then we'll have it.
That's everybody admitting, hey, this is never going to happen. So now what are the terms in which I just go away?
At that point, it's over.
Yeah.
Yeah, agree. All right, fellas. Anything else?
That's it.
All right. Well, thanks for stopping by. We had a lot of comments in the chat, so thank you very much. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. But before you go, please make sure that you like and follow us on Facebook. You can follow on Instagram. You can also subscribe on YouTube. You can also listen on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. You can also comment on our reels, share our reels. Love the interaction. We will be back next Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.